Ko kolpe ke hufanga I he ngai Fakatapu fa watu I he leti oga mo ata. Ka ta mo ke atpe ha fa matala pe ki mua. Ko hika mau inga e tau press conference ko ni. Ai ko e tau press conference ko ni ku fikau akia pe mo e me ko nai hoko ki he Vakapuna SAAB tolu fa noa. Ana hoko Tisema ko e wa fe wa tolu. I he malai Vakapuna a fua motu. Pe ko mawin ko e ngawe ki hono wakai I o e fakatu'utamaki na hoko pe ko accident na hoko pe ne fai ai sio ki he me na hoko pe ko ha hono tupu'anga pa mo finga ke o atu hanga hi mo ni me o fika aki pe mo e me ko na hoko I he ne tule ko ia ku mahuinga opito ke tau manatu I ko e how mo malu I flow Vakapuna ko me mahuinga opito pa mahuinga opito I ke pulanga tonga pe mo fatongia o minister ke civil aviation mo fatongia o civil aviation office ai aku nau fikau aki pa mo New Zealand civil aviation office mo Ofisi ki he flow Vakapuna civil no sila ki hono whakapapau I o ngawe ko ia ai ko investigation ko na fai ko fakatotolo ko na fai e he ki na tolo na fai fakatotolo ko fufu tai mini ke fai fakatotolo pe he ki ha fakatu'tamaki o hoko I he tawhako ni flow Vakapuna civile and I fight out na bea e he civil aviation office. Ko e he pui tua, a walu ko Tisema of matolu, ai ko e Vakapuna ko ni SAAB tolu whanoa B, ai na e lipoti na e ikai ke lava to e mapulei ai Vakapuna he taime e tō mai o lele mai ki he tau'anga, pe na e hoko le vai ai fakatu'tamaki ko ia o ne tui ai ai mea na I he halanga pe ko tau'anga ko e Vakapuna I he mala Vakapuna. Ko to famalo bena ke ha fakatu'tamaki hoko. Pe I he malu ko o e la ko ke fola Vakapuna civile wanoa na e fai lewa ai tutu ni minister ke fai ha fakatotolo. I he foto umai e he civil aviation office. Ko tare kita ke fai hanga awe ki ai. Pe aku mahu inga e ngā koe ni ke ilo koe ha ai mea na e hoko. Pe hai mea na ni hanga whakatupunga. Pe kai ke ngatai ke tau sio mei ai ke ua toi hoko ha mea tau I he kahau. Pe aua te tau hanga o tukua ki I ta iaha makatu'unga hataha. Ai ko hinga ia o e investigation ko na fai ki o mai ngai mo ni me apa tau sio ki ai. Ai he ne tu leva ko ia ko o mai a report ko ni pa o ku I he pule anga ia. Pe mo e ngai kopu ngawe ai ko e civil aviation office pe api he foki ki he Lulutai airlines pe mo ngai kopu fika ki hange ko ia ko Vakapuna civile mafai anu sila. Pe he foki he tawhako ni mei Australia o na tokoni mai ke whai investigation ko ni. Ai ko Australian Transport Safety Board. Ai na tokoni mai ke whai ai fakatotolo ko ni. Ko ina e fotu lewa e he minister ai Tongatapu ke ne taki ai fakatotolo ko ni. Ai ko James Panu. Ai ko ata bea ke fotu ia he kupu fitu wha ko e lao. Ke ni whai fakatotolo ko ni. Pea I he tuunga lewa ko ia na oange kei ai tau ataina Makehe. Tau ataina Makehe mei he Ofisi. Pea mo minister mo hato e mau mawhai ke ne whai tau ataina ai fakatotolo ko ni. Pea na tokoni mai lewa ki ai Australian Transport Safety Bureau o whai e fakatotolo ko ni. Au tau whamalo he puanga Australia na tokoni mai. O mai e tokoni ko ni me puate ko ni a Australia ki transport safety. Mea mahau inga fuke puanga Australia ia ngā ue pehe ni. Pau nau whai na to ngā investigation lai. I Australia o whekau aki pa mo ngāhi mea hoko ki he whewholau aki ai ngāhi Vakapuna. E mo wholau Vakapuna civile I Australia. I maasu e wanoa ua wha na e tukuange mai lewa e he whekumi koe ni pa mo fakatotolo koe ni a e nau fuafua report I preliminary report I maa asia wanoa wafa. Pea he taim tatau whie maurewa ke makatu'unga ai hanau hoko atu ai fakatotolo ke o mai half report whakamuimui ki he mea koe nai hoko. Aia I he ahua tolu ko sune o e tauni ai koe mahi nani nai o mai ai final report he Chief Investigator James Van Luwe pe mo tokoni ai Australian Transport Safety Bureau o mai e report ko ia ai au ki he malu pe ia o e kupu fitu fa kupu si iua ko e lao pe au na o mai ai ngahi findings because ha mega na nau iloi pe me ai ko e mea ia ai puleanga pe mo e operator mo ngai kupu fikau aki ko hai hoko atu ke whababau he kai ke toi hoko ha mea pe he pa whakapapau ai malu mo e hao ai wholau Vakapuna whakaloto whonua i o tau whonuan. Ko ripoti e tuku atu he ahoni i he ose tau press conference ko ini e tuku atu ia i he ngahi website e ko website e potu ngawe ngahi lalahi pe he ke website e Ofisi Palemia pa mo website e Australian Transport Safety Bureau o whakatau pe ke he lau ko pau ke tuku wange ai ripoti ko ia ke lau mo ilo ki ai kakai. Ko ia i he tuurewa ko ia ko e Chief Investigator James Van Luwe pe a Fakataha pa mo e Civil Aviation Office te nau hoko aturewa nau tolu ia ki hono fotutuhanga aue pe mo Lulutai Airlines ki he kahau ki toi maluange mo whakapapau o ku leleiange hono toka ngai ai malu mo e hao ai Vakapuna whaloto whonua te ilia nā hoko ha fakatu'utamaki e kahau. Ai ak mahino pe le soni heni ke tawako me he ngai fakatu'utamaki ko hoko. About the momia ke historia Vakapuna civile tawako ke tunga malu au pito ko he ahoni i he Vakapuna civile fa maman lahi ko hi ko fai ngai ngawe pe heni. O mau mea ngai mohoni i mea pe kai ke ngatai o taulama sio ake ngai mohoni mea ko ya ke whakalelei ai Vakapuna civile i he whitu ko toape i mamani. Ko ia ko lava lele e ngawe ko ini, pea ko hoko atu, o atu le vaia ki he Chief Investigator, James Van Luwe, pea mohono tokoni me he Australian Transport Safety Bureau, ke na whakamatala whakaiki atu mo tari hanga he whehu, aki mo tolu kau Faiongoongo, o whekau aki pe mo e lipoti, pe mo e ngahi mea na e ilo e he lipoti, pe mo e ngahi mea e ngari e hoko atu ki ai ngawe, ai investigator, pe mo e operator, pe mo e nau tolu o whekau aki. Ko ia ku whakapapau pe heni e au ko e minister ki Vakapuna civile, ai poupou ka kato ai puleanga, ki ha whaahinga fakatotolo pe heni, ke mau e mooni, pe a ngawe aki ki hono whakalelei ha ngawe. Ko ia ku mau popo wito ke ataki tua pe tariui ka kato ai whaifatongia a whahinga sevesi pe ai puleanga ki he kakai pe ai kai ke ngata ai ko me mahinga taha ke malui ai mo ui ai kakai me ko me ku mau hanga o tukuange ata he ahon ai lipoti ko ni pe whai ai press conference ko ni pe mo tale to hanga ai whehui ke whanongo mai ke ai kakai ko ia whai i he lefa palangi pe mo lefa tonga ko hi ke mahino i pe he kakai e whanua ai ola o e whai whatongia koe ne Chief Investigator ke whai a fakatotolo koe ni pe ko mau mai ai lipoti koe. Koe ko tua e whenga mali koe ni ki a James Van Luwe ke ne hoko atu ai whamatala o whekau aki pe a moe lipoti kua o mai malo apito.
Ia, malo a Eiki Tokoni Palemia pe a kore peke uwhanga ngai whatapo a whake Tokoni Palemia ka koe Minister e Civil Aviation. Ko lawa ne whakakata ngā awe ne whai ki hono fakatotolo koni ai ripoti ki he incident koni ai Lulutai Airlines pe a kore peke ukai pe me whamalo ki he pureanga Australia. Au kawai lewa ATSB and I'd like to introduce Mr. Rob Chopin, who's also here as well as the accredited representative from the Government of Australia. To be exact, this investigation and the work we do here wouldn't be possible without the assistance, and that's something we're grateful for here as well at the Ministry. We'll just get into it. Kau kore whamulemole te peke kau Faiongoongo ko e whamatale a honi e whai loa pe e lea whapilitania, mo lea whatonga ko hi ko tau waa kani me aseri o tau whengai aki mo ia o kunau I heni pe mo nau tonu. ai ko ye whamatala koni o civile o wilalo foke pureanga tonga i International Civil Aviation Organization au kau foke tonga e me mipa koni ai tunga ko iai ke te kau kita me mipa IKO wai ngahi lau kui lau whema ke te adhere giai pe te ke kau giai so mea ipe under Annex 13 ko requirement nia ai lau ka pai hoko a incident po accident whika aki mo Vakapuna po aviation o whema ope ke fakato'utamaki a fakatotolo po ka investigation giai ka konga lau au fu whema o ke tau whamamawhai e kamata goni ka konga kone investigation or the purpose of this activity is not to apportion blame or liability. I go tunga ko ia kone fakatotolo kone o totally independent. I go mau recommendations, more conclusions o mau me ripoti kone. O wike ia ke pehe o the blame o the airline is subject to liability as well. So go uhinga ia ke tau wanga mahenpe before we begin. Go ripoti kone o ia tunga kone to not apportion blame or liability. Pau kau tatau e pe me i lau kone IKO o te kau pe fok moi e lau kone a civile e konga lau kone kupu fitu tolu. So just reiterating what the point is that I mentioned before, it's not to ascertain blame or to any person or for subject to liability. So i kamata mai koe incident in 2023 na whailewa e whenga aki pureanga mo pureanga asteria o maulawa ke mau whenga aki mo ATSB pe appoint my level Mr. Chopin hin ke mau whenga aki ke kumi koni. So we're all similar, we're familiar with the occurrence, which is the SAAB incident in Fuamotu, and I level mau ngawi kiai ko collecting evidence. Na level examining the evidence, analyzing it, na Tanakia CVR, the FDR, na aveleva ki aseria o fai download ko information ko iai pe na fai leva no fakatotolo me ai. So from there we're able to develop safety action development plan, report preparation, and then the other safety communications pe fefo ki aki pe ngoa gani o matuklava o mawa o ngahi tali mo ngahi assumptions or hypothesis ke lava developed by safety factors gani na as a result of this o maulava ke te ki fa levai li poti gani. Obviously ko ungahi fetu na ma mea ko nga evidence na fai whenga aki with the CVR na ave foki a seria ke downloadi feita o gani na lela interview my flight crew ko ngo pilot timi ko behind the maintenance personnel the airline Ofisi gani civile and I ke tu peko independence aku as a chief investigator and also mo mafai gani ai tare kita e Ofisi civile. Na fai leva sio ke airline documentation pe na fai be mo o ki Sweden o whenga aki mo kautaha sapa au na fa o koe Vakapuna. The engine manufacturers looking at documentation, policies, manuals, but the fai leva sio ke database kone aseria o mawai o lava ke sio waipe mo ungahi I siu tatau pe o hoko I tō pureanga o familiar or similar to the one that we experience here in Tonga. So just to break it down, there's different safety factors on how all of these add on into developing or causing this incident. A contributing factor is directly involved in something. So if this contributing factor didn't happen, we can say like whatever incident other factors that increase risk or waipe me na hoko ka wike pe directly involved with it. Other findings, and if I go fekumi o te kiloia wai me u ichiu ke heia I operate on na mao ka ke whekau akia directly with the incident. The preliminary report na released last year as provided for a brief here, so just a rundown me go na hoko. I mauleva moia e whekonga kone ripoti I released ahoni. So just pretty much a pretty brief background into the incident and what happened. So if we just break it down now, contributing factors and mea iko ki mua So this is the airline or the aircraft after this happened. Taxiing to the terminal after landing, the aircraft lost wheel braking and directional control. O hokai goni ai fatamaki goni. So te mo mea ipe heni, this is the domestic terminal goni for motu. Ai koe whatata benia e mea goni nai hoko, nai pehepe foki ango pailate. After landing, like a yaipe pressure on the brake system. E pehete na lava pe o amai from the runway back to the apron here. Based on the cockpit voice recorder and what we were listening to, around this point here, na ilo iai that the captain who was in charge at the time had no feel of the brake pressure, pe hokai go for here that he had no control of the steering as well, and then this is where it ended up at. This naibeki for konga it was the old fuel installation, and that's where the aircraft ended up in. The other contributing factors we had to it is, for reasons that could not be determined between engine start and descent, the circuit breaker providing power to the main hydraulic system, pressure and quantity indicators and inboard brakes, hydraulic system pressure indicator had tripped, removing power to those indicators. Agatau pehepe kita naepe u issue faka electronic or electric issues in the aircraft that caused the circuit breaker here. When they provide good power to the main hydraulic system, pressure, and all these indicators to trip, which removed power to these. There's a photograph here in the aircraft here. So everything that the power or the circuit breaker was providing electricity current to, this is what it was reading at the time of the accident. So if you can look here, the indicators would have been down here below zero. Yeah. Ai ka bate mo mea ipe foke I heni, ko u mea koni o te lava kita hoko koe, ka ke ai koe a power ke u indicators koe ni. Anau lava pe ai koe ki mua. Te ka ke ai a power to the main hydraulic system pressure, o ka ke ilong ai koe indicators regarding these fungi indicator koe ni. This is the part on the right side. I level pop level ki toaka pau ka ke lava current near or the circuit breaker that controls the current into it if it's too much or it's a surge or lava level pop level. So this is what happens. So in a normally ka normal, it'll all be up here at the top without anything popping out in the cockpit. Issue likely due to expectancy, the first officer did not visually identify the tripped circuit breaker. Expectancy te view no molo kita mea pe I could see every day in the cockpit in no molo ma pe fungi circuit breakers and this. So his assumption is everything will always be normal pe fai leva sioya and no molo ma pe. Likely due to expectancy, like I can lava get that first officer of Tonga, eleva a tripped circuit breaker, the associated with hydraulic system while performing the initial hydraulic system troubleshooting. For the other factor, that the crew misidentified there was a hydraulic leak, and the highlight a crew goniki hydraulic leak on a commence level abnormal checklist for hydraulic fluid loss, which included turning off the hydraulic pump. And if I forget you on allow forget indicator ya o ka kia power kia ai ka pa no level hydraulic ya e ngata be e feilani kulokula gani ki olunga ka pa wi kia power level al forget ki lalo ane pe o pailate o ka kia power o alu kia ka ko mea ka fe trip circuit breaker and they provide kita power kia o halai ko mau ta ko o ngai falele pe ai o hydraulic system ya kana pe foki a wire hydraulic leak fa hoko leva nga we going to need a checklist for the hydraulic fluid loss. I have got to be the crew review section of the hydraulic loss abnormal checklist during the emergency. Nekage whahoko ka kato lewa and no laugo e checklist. So usually ka pau hoko au I siu peheni Vakapuna, peheni go hydraulic fluid loss in that, or si ai the checklist or provide kita I Vakapuna, which is this one here available here. O te teki whakakato lewa ia o no lau kita e umegan ke te whahoko kita in this instance. So go mausio, mo interview go, mo kau pai late, mo review go a cockpit voice recorder. Ne whaia e sio lewa kita, ne kake ka kato lewa ngawe a crew ki hono completing the whole checklist. Pe lau ka kato lewa checklist ke au mego ke whaas osi, which is this part here. I lewa, as a result, the flight crew had a complete appreciation of the limitations of the hydraulic system. I lewa nei osi go no determined good that it was hydraulic fluid loss nei pe foke kapteni mo first officer ke na fok mai lewa ki fo motu. We hin foki fo motu maintenance crew wai foki mo tag o wai pe fok mo spare part and maintenance hanga lava ki fa hoka ngawe ka bate na fok mai instead of proceeding ke algo ki vavao. So from this point here, na whaigoe pehe, e ango pailate, de na fok mai lewa koe ni. The incident was a couple nautical miles out from Vava'o pe whaigoe lea e pailate, or the captain ke whai lewa foki ki whamoto o sayang ea ki anawa, ke lava toha te waka and that. Pe according lewa ki he checklist koe ni, o approved. Of the Fokmai Gita or land, when the aircraft has come to a stop after landing, shut down engines, I go peheni. Ke tō be kita waka e runway, ta tau be kita pe ma'o a power or not. But if there's an issue there, once the aircraft has come to a stop after landing, do not taxi with a faulty hydraulic pump, which is on the checklist go, was approved be kita airline gina whingai aki o ngai aki. And I whai lewa whoki mai koe ni koe ki whamotu pe hoka koe whai incident koe nei mea. I go u issue koe na te whamatala kai ko u issue koe na directly involved koe o hoka koe incident. Pe whai lewa pe whoki fakatotolo te siai wai pe me u issue ke he lewa ia outside of what directly happened or wai pe mo ne chance ke increase koe risk ke te hoko pe a mea kapana I ke fakatotolo o wha siu ki ai. I tau sila mai ki hene ko flight data recorder na aviko download tika asteria na ma ai lewa na kaipe ke whai hare kotia flight data for about 5 months prior to and including the accident. Au kau whokea whi ko ngā lahi koe ne fakatotolo o kai ke lava maua o ngahi data whenga aki koe mo hydraulic indicators ko pressure gauges. Na kai ke lava whoki a mao, na kai whoki ke record a data for about 5 months prior to. We determined that 5 months prior to pe whoki a na whai whoki download a seria o ilo e that the last recorded would have been in June. In about July, o July kone wano watoro. I lewa go flight data recorder lewa nia. It was still on the aircraft ka mea na kai ke whale kotia. It wasn't recording any data for the past 5 months. Na te whai pe whuka fakatotolo o te maoha ke wai mai fault within the flight data acquisition unit. Ai goni ko whaikonga ne flight data acquisition unit ia. Ko whaikonga ne tāna ko toga reading po te whawhanga rewa a FDAU goni ki e konga goni o te kilawa kita mao e ule kōti and that. So this here is the FDAU na mau fakatotolo pe moia on the aircraft as well na whai ben o troubleshoot mo te whamoika waka o te sio lewa ki ai o ilo I kita o wai a issue kita e me whaipuha koe ni. A ko hoko koe we sia koe na kai ke lava kita provide data from this unit ki e whaikonga koe ni. Te whai pe whok mo sio whoki o te ilai lewa na issue mo aircraft's communication system. O te mawai na tahaka ngawe kon whaka akma maintenance o ne hanga lewa ia a secure a free breaker for the acquisition unit and the trip position. So the sio mai kita ki heni on the panel go inside the aircraft, the cockpit. Na mauhala lewa tamagoni a maintenance lewa ia o peheni that the issue with the high frequency radio, which is the HFR, Peheni kitai ko whai power goni from there is the one that feeds into the high frequency radio. Ka koe ni whakau toi whaki o lunga ko data acquisition unit whaki a ko power ni o ne power ko ke data acquisition unit. O mauhala le vaia o ne pehe le vai ko power ni ke high frequency radio. Ka ko power ni ki heni. Aleva ko whai power ne hanga power ko ki heni o feed ko information ki he. O whoka le vai a store le vai I heni o lava kita download ke information from here. So the kita ki heni it's called so time go you pull it down o lava liva afi kola ka ki te lava kita te ke kita ki o lunga. Na te pe whai whuke sio o te ilo e lewa ko cockpit voice recorder na ngai le leipe ki taia ka na kai ke iaiha underwater locator beacon or that's mounted onto it. So this is the CVR from the aircraft here. Te mo mea ipe ki taia whan whikonga kono te pi'i ko whikonga kono o ton ke tangutu koni or it should be attached to the CVR at the same time. So this is what we received, goni a CVR from the aircraft at the time of the accident. O ilo e levaia that this was removed from the aircraft at least 5 months before the accident. Ko ngā aki be whokia this locator beacon whokia ulahi whoke whipuna ake Vakapuna I heni over ocean au whi mao levaia kai hoka fakatu'utamaki e whango fuolewa na kumi koe Vakapuna. Pe ilo e levaia na kake ai if I konga gani on this levaya, na ilo levaya was 5 months before, and na ia 5 year or 2 year avionic check and maintenance. Na don't get whakakawa if I konga gani. Na listia iai ka na kai ke whahoko be whakakata ngawe ki ai. Ai levaya ko findings gani na ma ai levaya 2 maintenance defects na te sirai o mau is a result of this investigation. Ai le vaia nei kai ke whahoko whakakatoga ngawe gai regarding maintenance, pe awika u konga ko ni ke service and that pe whahok mai lewa. Nei pepe whoke fakatotolo that it may be a broader issue or there issue lahin outside of operation pe ko te SAAB o peni o wesia me siuga ke Vakapuna ke he kone airline. Kana whai pe o sio o ilo e le vaia o whahoko pe u ngawe maintenance here ka ko whi lapse pe nia whi konga kone 2 defects kone mao. Ko whekonga whamui bena masu kai na e lawe bika media before regarding the preliminary report. Na kaube mo CEO on the flight deck of the time of the investigation na pepe whoke ma whakakawa pe heni. Ana osi otsko fakatotolo na ilo elewa na kai kia influence pe a kaunga a CEO in the flight seat ki heongo flight crew. And we were able to tell if we fakatotolo result goni listening to the CVR goni cockpit voice recorder. And then lahi tala nobe kaptenia my first officer na I give wa kaunga ia as CEO at the time while he was in the jump seat goni. I na foki fakakatamago lipoti last month pe na matangutu I leva mo katamago directly involved go mo ni ke fa sio ni per hana lau per feedback and that ki ripoti ka faya kaunga ke sio petenau any improvements I airline or any remedial actions from now osi fai leva ke te lele yang ngawe ko ni airline I he konga ko ni pe a submit never e Lulutai and now remedial action plan tauko osi e umeko now was undertake get the whalele ange ungawe koni regarding the issues koni o was he raised. So this is what we've done on the safety investigation of whakakatoga and whai tangut mana tolo o te sia lewa for high safety actions moving forward on it. And I think with whakakato mari po tiki ai pena te lucky chops. Did you have anything else to add on to it? Yeah. I think with Fakatobe report of a brief rundown. Today, a release level report, it's about 50 pages. The kiai further detail on what we just talked about. Kakuna Fakatoya presentation gonna report. Malo. I mean, kapawa ufehu ipamo.
Can you sum up what you just explained?
Okay, Micah.
James, kapate ke lava to ki samali mai holi poti ko ini apepa foi se te se ua petol ai result pe ko ola ko ya homo findings.
Yeah. I go the short way go get summarizing in like I get our recommendation dia me investigation get align and as provide before get align remedial actions get na hanga counter level if for me gonna raise go hen.
Now, don't forget now, I'm going to oversee the regulator, the civil aviation. What does the civil aviation audit or inspect Lulutai airline fleet and maintenance operation?
I go for presentation, but for it's me in my role as a chief investigator. I do totally independent about it. I go met foi fehu I fokoia to ki fe ma ke fa hoko kita ke tare kita gone civile ke ne to ki fa lavet ki regarding the maintenance.
This might be a long question just for everyone like that, but my understanding with an airline is you need a air operating certificate for you to operate an airline. The most two manuals that's important in this certificate is the operational and the maintenance manual. And the person or the personnel that polices this manuals is quality assurance personnel. My question, and it has been proven by the chief investigator, Mr. James Barnuva's presentation, that if it weren't for this investigation, there is a high risk of this happening again. And so my question is, looking at the airline now, are they following the operational and maintenance manual? And the ministry, because it's the ministry that's regulating the airline, what action is taken towards the airline by the ministry as well? Malo.
Yeah, malo pito lala. And then if I forget, Lavagoni, just before regarding the proactive safety action, where we sat down with the airlines to just provide them an overrun of what the report found, and also we raised in the report. The airline actually went ahead and provided a remedial action plan, which is what was identified or I mentioned here. And they provided this information to us at the investigation on how they would like to mitigate or better themselves, moving forward. What the airline did was actually provided a report on the findings mentioned in the preliminary on what they have been doing to address these issues. I find that the maintenance for open and the procedures, the manuals and that. I can now moving forward. I can't speak for the Civil Aviation Office, I got independence for the investigation for just myself as the chief investigator.
Ki fehu e te peau ia Eiki Tokoni Palemia ka koe Eiki Minister koe whoki o Moimoi ai au ku whamalmalu ai e sivile koe anga koe ni kono tuku mai koe ola e fakatotolo me ta whako e pureanga koe harewe mea e pureanga o ko whakahoko ki ai he koe ngahi mea hene tala mai koe ose mahina e whiana ke ha mea pehe pe hange kono le kooti koe mea ne keke lava ai kanaka ke peko toki ikai ke rekoti pena e fuoloa ko high level na hanga tokanga I whaka engineer ai wakai ke tupu'anga koe a Vakapuna ngai mea pe me ta whak pe pureanga pe me hokot koe ke kahau.
Toi. Hangi koe ku whamatala koe he kamataanga. Ai koe fakatotolo fuia koe ni koe fakatotolo pe. Ke mau ai mooni. Ai koe facts. Pe na o mai lewa ai findings. Ai koe nau kumia evidence. Ai koe ni whamatala he keke ton ke tauhanga o tukuaki I hataha kau koe ke ha whakamooni. Ai koe hinga ia mea tolu koe natural justice. Ko pau ke tau ange whainga māli ke tō tāko toa ki kau mai ke investigation koe ni. Pa koe uhinga press conference ka koe ni ke watu kakato ai mega na hoko ana pe mo fanongo ke ko ngataanga ia investigator mo tokoni ko ai TSP Australia ko toenga ko ke hoko atu ko hanko fe ko me e puleanga ke wakai lewa ki ngahi issue ko ku ha me ai he ko hi o mai he ngai fa matala ia kakato pa ku kamata lewa ke tau o mai lewa issue ko o ku fe ka wa ke hanga tonu ai ko ta fa ko na ko tala no ke maintenance e ta fa ko ki he training ko ka crew ko capacity ko Lulutai ke fa hoko fa le ni ngawi he level o tau potu taha ki o lunga ko se hui ko ni ka ki pa mono ngai konga mo ngai me pe ke fakakato ko me ia ta ko hi ko issue pe he o hanga he report pe ni fa makatu'unga mai ke fa ngau he puanga ke ngai me pe ko me mo nga ta he ni ko safety pe mo o to hoko ko he kaha ai ko ne tu ko ko fa matala investigate ko skamata he Lulutai ngai ngau ke ngai ko preliminary report nga tu kan ta ko si na skamata na ngana to ke ngai me ko na tala he report ko ka ko fa ko wa fa nga tu ko smahino pe ka ta to ri ngai me pa kamata leva ke ya ngai fe hu hang ko fe pa ko ngai fe hu to ton ke to kan ala ki ai Lulutai Airlines ki hono whakahoko o ngai mea koe ke ua toi hoko hame. Ko whatongia koe na Civil Aviation Office pia mo ATSP, pia mo Civil Aviation Authority ka nusila. E kei hoko atu pe he tokoni mai ki tonga ke whakapapau. Ai mea mahino koe ni. Ai malu mo hao ai kakai Vakapuna civil. Pia mo ngawe ke whai ke toi lele yang he ka hau ke oua toi hoko ha fakatu'utamaki pe. O mole aha mo ui.
Eiki Tokoni Palemia maku ki wheu ia pego ni koe ka hau koe hili Eiki Tokoni Palemia ne wha regulate tau tolu he civil i he CAA pa koe civil aviation koe New Zealand pa ne lava lewa na toria o regulate a tau tolu he unga koe truly independently I regulate koe ia me whanua kehe koe ni tau regulate pe tau tolu kone ne ke mea mai ko whewi kone ne whakau koe Taniela tonge ave ke pure'anga ko nau tonge na hanga o sio ke insure ke te hoko mea koe ni ko hinga koe mau eke ko hinga koe report mai koe me chief investigator koe James Panuve koe last data ne whakahoko Tisema wano wa tolu pok tonu kulau au mahino le vaia koe regulation ko whakahoko ka nau tolu it's not working na taimi ke tau sio ke tau fully independent regulator ke o fokia ke New Zealand po asteria he mahino le vau ke lava pe pure angaia o regulate ai kautaha ko ni fanga Fakatapu tau sio pe ko kautaha pure anga pe te regulate pe pure anga na ko me ke sio ke pe private airline ni ka lava regulate pure anga po ko alwa o te foki ki New Zealand ke lava regulate fa re tau ai safety
ko I he malu ko ngahi whingaagi whakawahapuranga koe ki he civil aviation nia pa mo Vakapuna civil ko a Tongania o whai pe whingaagi a Tongania pa mo New Zealand pia kunau whingaagi ki ngahi mea koe issue lewa taha ia tokanga koe ki mea koe ni o mau te whakakau mai tai mini pa mo Australian Transport Safety Bureau ai koe ngata ni tau whingaagi aku hoko ate whingaage mo ki nau tolu ke nau tokoni mai he malu tokoni ko asera. Ko mea ko mau inga he taimini ke tau address he palu mahe taimini. Ko taimini ko oku matalahi e ngahi issue o kawai financial issue. Ha kau taha ko issue whikao ki pa mo management. Oku ere mahano implication o naia I he safety. Mo viability a airline ni koe. O kenge toi ke heke hene mo whalau wakatai. O skau mai New Zealand Maritime Authority e kena tokanga I tau whalau wakatai. Ko pau ke refer tonga ni hanga issue la lahi ke advice a New Zealand Maritime Authority. Pa ko e whengage mo Vakapuna civil ko mea motua au pito ia. Ka wha tono no ba tau to. Ai ko mea tau address ko he ahoni. Ko e uhinga ko ke ngaga puleanga mo manatu ko public enterprise ene. O ko he malu e puleanga. Ka mana tu itu ko kautaha. Ngawe hanga tonia ba mo Civil Aviation Office. Ka ko hiko public enterprise ko kau shareholder me poate ke na whai ngawe. pa mau tu tafaki mau tolu tau atai na I he lao ai tale kita ko civilization ke ni hanga fakamalohi e ngai tutu ni fika ak mo fulawa puna civil fakaloto fonua I he pepespe mo me mahino I tau tolu ko hao mo malu ai fulawa puna civil ha tau fonu ai ko hawle nga issue ko ni hanga mo fa e ke ngai press conference e I he puleanga pe I he sector tau taha e fatongia ko Pako me lotonga no foi me whakafoki ai whatongia koe ni ke puleanga ke whakakau ki ai ki he kaha o fulawa puna civil ha tau fonu ka he taimini o tuku he malu puleanga ke whahatokanga hange tokanga investigation koe whahasio ki ai e ko hi ka Paula ma putola lo whakapaanga koe ni mai puleanga e tene ya Latu o whakahaufi ka tau toki sio ai ki hane tu ulelei ki he kaha o ke taulama o toe whakakau mai ha ngahi parties me tu ake no whakalele o nau mao mea ngawe hange ko ha kau mai ha ngahi kau taha me tu puleanga o nau tokon maka no whakalele tau e alai ka kumosio he ahoni ne mahu inga ai hoko ngahi event I tonga ni koe ke lava ke pesi tau lo tonga ma o fe tuku e kakai
ek misa ki he pebuna ki sivile o ko hake ho whamatara bepe ki whamatara koe ai tifi investigator ai tutu uni koe ai kao Pila en mai ha mai man koe Vakapuna mai ngau ke pe kawai pe mo kupu fitu ono koe ia o la wano koe ne puna sivile tonga ni koe hana e fuo loa ai ke fa hoke ngau koe ni
ai na fai fuke fitu na o si pe ko accident ni pe fai leva ai ngau ko na ai ko Tisema wa fe wa tolu pa ko ma asipe ku o mai ko ni na preliminary report ai ko hinga fuke preliminary report ko u me ko na I lo ko he time ko ya ke fai mo o mai ya mana stu kwang pe mo ya kai lele investigation ya mo mana tu ko investigation pe ni ko ke whakapoto pe ataia ke tau whakawave pe te tau hanga o toho ke wave ko ke tau whimau whakamatawa ko pau ke comprehensive ya ko pau ke whakapapau I ko mea kau tukuange mai ko halau I hata pe tukuaki I hata kono tukuange mai ko mea tonu pe na hoko ai ko mea na take time e pe fo na ma whakataha mato I fisi he taun kongi mo taun ai ko to whai pe whakataha mo na tolu he investigator hange ko ATSP ko Australia ne to whai pe ngai whakataha he lele ko investigation ko investigation na whai e tongani chief investigator James Panu kai tokoni me pe ki ai ngai parties ko ni ko ai advisor me Australia una tokoni mai kono fai fale I ko to civil aviation office na mo kupu nga gan me Australia ai ko alu investigation ko pau pe ko no taimi pe onai pa ko nia mai ko ki ahoni ko tawa o ki he mo oni ka ki he preliminary report o stu wange ki he Lulutai ke na fai mai hanga awe ki ai ngai issue ko na spin point ne be ilo report
Mala pito e Palemia mahalo te uki Tokanga ia ki he tupu'anga ko e kuiai ko ne waka pia moe a lea I he waha ko ia ai owner ko ia ai SAAB insurance company pia moe Lulutai ko hai tu'unga kuiai ai halea ko ia hena os whakahoko pe whake ngai a lea ki mua ki hono kawai cost ke totongi ai SAAB pia moe ngahi a lea ko ia pia ki e ku whaike eke ko ia e tau kōsi ki he hoko mea ko ni na e ngata e ku ai ngai whamatau tuk mai na me tau e a lea ko ia ka mo hua fok mo to le tai ni o hoko atu ko ia Lulutai ko halewa tu'unga o kumbu ia I pe mo ia lea ko ia
ko tu ko ha fe ki to tan he minister anai he tau press conference e ko ngai me ko business ko Lulutai ko o tuku pe he Lulutai ko fatongia matole ko he aviation ke he ia me mo man pe na ku kau I he poate ko ne Lulutai he mafufu o mai ko uhi na kau ai deputy prime minister ko ki mo pana fa fisi be la Fakataha ko si e mau e tau ngawe tau tole ki le fa lufu o ba te ta utu he poate ko ia e ko hi ko au ko fa malu ai civil aviation office ka kono mafai ona ko ke fai ko investigation ko fai hono sivi fa atita o Lulutai Airlines pe na fai pau ke ngai tu ni ngai me pe ko sio ki he capacity ko no sio ki he me fa mo training ka pilot mo issue ngai certificate mo me ko fatongia fa regulator ko fatongia fa lao ia aviation pa mo ngata pe matolu ia ko ko hono whakalele koe o airline ni, e Faiongoongo ki he poate pūre koe une hanga whakalele. Pea mo e stakeholder koe une puke lahi taha o share Lulutai Airlines koe pūle anga. Pako hanga ngai whiu koe na koe hunke ki insurance me ngai mea pe. Koe mea ia anau tolu ke nau resolve. O koe ke mawhaalea mato ha business koe ke amau tolu. Ko dan pe ko implicate allow ke zero aviation pe mo safety ai kakai pe mo flow up na ko time mo le ai mo fakatokanga ma be usama pe mo fatokanga na to I he time ko to ape ke mo fakapau yo mo muy pa ka ba na ngalo ku ya ko hili o hoko ai ha fakatamaki ko u me ke he ko time ni ko pau ke fusia o ngahi lao ya ko tu ko ko minister o ko ke ha ku kaunga ke mafai o ku he civil aviation director ko ia ke ni hanga fusia wela ko awe ko oversight mo sio o fai fa le fatongia ko ya o fa tau kila ko tango to no civil aviation office ko time ko alwai o sio ki na nga wena fai fa le is the minister
fa o si pe la ka ko minister ko ni Moimoi na ke me afo ke kamata ko to fra ho ko ni ai assessment kon pe ko patato ko ni na ya ye corporate area in Canberra na now lava mai tau ko si ke fra ho ko nga assess ko ni ko hai ke ai CV ko ya me CV ko ni hena ya pe ai engineer senior engineer from the corporate area in Canberra.
Ma Tonga James in Italia tu ko ke fa technicale ai ke he on investigation.
Io malo. Ai ko let's love it before ki more ko investigation for appointed before Kia under the Civil Aviation Act, and a totally independent before Kia, and it was the approved accredited representative, and I was the approved chief investigator for this. I think that's that's the difference. I was the one that was appointed under the Civil Aviation Act. In comparison, if I before investigation Lulutai, outside of it, if they wanted to hire, so say the person you mentioning from corporate air. What they want to do. But under the Civil Aviation Act, under IKO requirements, go up before elected under the Civil Aviation Act.
Yeah, I'm just after the independence of the assessment made. Because this person is from the corporate area from Canberra.
Right.
I think it's very independent. And that list where it's here is appointed by the ministry, by the aviation.
Right.
Malopite mauwhainga maalie, malopito Eiki Tokoni Palemia koe whehu e nia ki he chief investigator, vai whanua tū pola pepe me ele te omo televisione Tonga. Koe kute whe ilo atu pe au ia ki ngahi recommendations koe na mo o atu ki he kautaha Lulutai, ko lawe I pe au mi ho whamatala o ku tū tawatai na ai fakatotolo na mo whakahoko, ka I he ku wakaipe mi ho whamatala na o mao e ki kupu ilea koe na ke tautou mention koe mauhala, ai paila tēnā ene mauhala, koe mauhala ai kaungai wha teknikale koe I lalo, I he tawhakiun koe ki kaungai wha teknikale. Pea whatatau ki he kakaina mo whenga aki ono whahoko ai fakatotolo koe nine iai e kaungai wha teknikale. And I'm sure na I paupeke iai e nau possible solution recommendations. Ko whia ila peau ki ai pe na iai ha pe ku makehangi pa mihi ngahi recommendation ko mo whahoko na iaha ngahi possible solution na e kapau na whahoko he kaungau e koe ni e na mi malawa whahauwhi ake palpale manai hoko. Tūnga koe ki he kapau na e iai ha ai fo I CVR recorder e malawa te mauanga ngahi whakamatala whakaiki ange. Pea koe wape ki ai me he ngahi whamatala koe ke malawa o tāna ki ko ke whia maalia nai koe tontaha ia e mea nai hoko, peo te aipe hau ki in doubts ki ha ngahi mea nai matawaiwai e fakatotolo na whahoko.
Yeah, malo pita. Koe, I think just for the independence of the investigation for Fokian, I limit pe Fokian mascopia ki he investigation. And I pay Fokian whamatala ki mo na pe kita ko for a broader issue, a maintenance, more accruing issue ya outside it for scope ko ni. Kana mawhenga pe ke no fotaha pe I he for scope pe ko ni, I got accident ni ko ni or the incident, o ma no fotaha pe kita ki ai. Na pepe Fokian sio ko ki whamatala ko ni a maintenance issues, more accruing issues, or provide I leva ia e Lulutai ia a remedial action plan regarding that. So na os alu one step ahead leva airline ia o whainau ngawe na tolu. ke te whalere iange o issue go or the issues go the issues go number is provided go in the preliminary report. I hope it did.
Yes, and my second question, are you happy with are you confident that this is the Tongatapu ni o fakatotolo na mo whahoko?
I could say I'm confident with it because I saw everything firsthand. I saw the CVR, I listened to 2 hours of it. I interviewed the pilots in the office. I interviewed the pilots in the aircraft. Na te whamoi pe whoke Vakapuna whai hoa ua. O ma te lele tami run be whai alugone pe whai auki wawau na te lele pe moia. So I'm happy with the result that we're at. I'm confident with it because I saw everything firsthand and I was able to analyze everything firsthand as well.
Malo.
Paula pito Tokoni Palemia ka pefu ki he chief investigator. Ako ki fehui pe aku I he cost ko ia o e fakatotolo. Me lava ta e ua o ku ha cost ko ia pe ko airline le totongi pe ko ministry.
I think we love big guy and my friend aki gani mo ATSB na reach out for get Tonga ni ke Whawhenga aki mo ATSB because ATSB for it's a world standard bureau under the Australian government, so they actually a really world standard going to get our investigation. And I pay for ke whenga aki lewa Tonga kita mo ATSB. Ben we're quite fortunate enough na kava lewa nia under the DFAT program goni. Na whai whuki ngāo kita mo Australian High Com goni Tonga ni. And they were really happy to be funding this whole program. Kai ki lava kita ke exact cost ko ni. Ka ko ilo ipe kita ko ngai to kon ko to pe aseri and that regardless of the cost and that it's always been something that's we can't put a cost to it. So I can't really put a cost to it, but it's been funded under the DFAT government, Australian government.
Ko Australia una popula e pe na toli ke civil aviation at Tonga. Una mai ka hen ka advice am now o mai Australian Transport Safety Bureau. Una mai mo tokoni ki civil aviation office ke whakalele leia civil aviation at Tonga ni Vakapuna civil. Ai ko mega ne tala no ke James ki the level of confidence on the investigation ko ya. Ai ko fire for the tau ki standards. O ko standards ya investigate ko international standards ko no fire investigation. Ai na fire for tatau ki. Ai ko ngai mo ni me ga na famata pong ni ko ia ya. Pau tau mau leva evidence o whaka mahino mai e ngai issue ko ku tau fehu he pong ni whika aku mo maintenance. Whika waki mo kau crew mo now training. Whika waki ba mo aircraft mo ngai konga. Ai ko me ku tau ilo ko he pong ni. Ai ku mahino le vai pe hange le va ko famatala ni nai e tau ilo le vai way forward ko ke ka u ke fai ha ai ko ngai no tau ko ku voice record ai na ke ni record e ha me mai na nima ko me faka maintenance we ko ngai ka pa na e to va puna kita e piken ko ku le lalo e ta ngai ke faka pipi ke me ko ya ke voice recorder ke na alpha ta ai ko ngai issue tau fehui lewa hon a level ko o tokanga tau ha lewa fehui ko high level o tokanga ko ngai aki ki he fola Vakapuna civil ko hili o hoko ngai issue ai ko tau lewa o fenke tau kaka ki olunga ka level o to ma olunga ki fa ba tau fai pa kai taimi tau o fi ma o resources ki ai paanga ko kaunga u ko tokoni ke fa ke fatongia ko ki tau ke tunga le leita ki tau ngai tau puna ko he Vakapuna me hini ki wa pe ko niu o tau ma o level of confidence ta tau o ku safe Vakapuna pa o ku lelei e fai fatongia ko to be fika pa mo fola Vakapuna civil in Tonga.
Lastly, James, what safeguards are in place to prevent future interference like this from yourself?
So just based on the report now, so listing down the safety factors and that, the airline already developed their own safeguards based on what we listed in the preliminary report, which is what I was just mentioning before, that they identified the key observations and that. And they've developed their own in-house procedures and policies that could be counted as safeguards, towards improving the system or improving their airline and that moving forward.
E koe whu me tau ofisi koe paso. Ai koe ofisi paso ku au tui Vanuatu. Ai nau tokoni me mo nau tolu, ai koe whakapaanga moia e Nusila mo Aselia. Ke ofi ange mai e tokoni mo e whale I ka tātou. O nau tokoni me nau tui e taim lahi ki he whai a titau e no cheke ngai toki menu ngai mea pe. Pa wepe nau kau ofisa. O nau atabe ke taim ko firma wahe ngai whome pasifike nau wanga tokoni. Po nau womai. No whai ngai assessment tokoni ki he Civil Aviation Office e whai kai assessment. Ai koe kau ia he tokanga mai koe ngai whonua ke safe pe how mo malu koe e Fakapuna sivile. E ngai o tu motu koe pasifike. O koe konferensi lahi a aviation u whai mau pe ia. Ai koe kau minista au whai fakatotolo na tu alu ki he taha ngai konferensi na whai e fis. Kau koe pa mo konferensi a Eiki e whai e September te ulawa ki ai o ke whai e tala noa. Pa koe e ngahi air service agreement o whingai ke whakotu'u e tonga. Hange koe tau air service agreement mo Qatar, o Singapore, o Thailand. Ke tau whinga aki, koe connectivity koe mea o mahu inga. Koe connectivity whakaloto whonua, o totungi mahu inga tatau pe mo international connectivity. He ka pahe I ka ia e safa tau ekonomika, ai tourism, ai export, ai whialuaki ai kakai I huinga whakawhai to'o, ko huinga fakaha ko ngai mea pe. Kamau te tau isolate ourselves me international connectivity. Te tau toi foki tau toi ria hangahi decades ki mui. Kako mea ko tau mao koe auli wa mahu inga investigation koe ke build a future confidence e kakai o tau whakalele Fakapuna civile whakaloto whonua. Kako whai ki standard mo tutu ni maalunga taha ki he hao mo malu. Ako mahu inga e ngā koe whai James Whanu wa mo Kevin Chopin. Tau whamalo ki he kakato koe
This is just a question for the representative from ATSB. I know this question is going to be outside your investigation, but just going through the whole investigation, is there a recommendation from yourself? Like I said, this question might be outside the investigation towards not just the airline, but the civil aviation that's regulated here in the kingdom to better. Not just better in regulation, but also better as in operation and maintenance operation in the airline.
Thanks for the question. I'll start off by saying that the process that we worked through for this investigation was exactly the same process that we would do in Australia within the ATSB. The way we develop our findings, and as you can see by this investigation report which James has presented, we had no recommendations out the other side of it. However, we did have a series of findings, and what gives me some comfort is to see that the airline is actually working along the same lines in their improvements to their systems. I think it's a very important thing for any organisation, any mature organisation, to be constantly looking at ways to improve their systems. And we can see that through here where their safety department have actually looked and listened and appreciated what's going on, and they are looking at ways to try and improve that. So that gives me a level of comfort in that space as well. Does that? Yep. Thank you.
Many of my international flight and the connectivity, so that's why I thought they were just opening that door.
Koe o mea pe ia, o mon pe ku gautou pe ki tau whiu ia. Koe mea mahu inga he alo atu e koe ni ki a collaboration with partnership. Ki ha fotutu leleanga ke maluanga tau whanua, koe ngata pe he malu ia e Fakapuna civile, kai malu mo tau whanua me ngahi issue ke he tau tokanga kia. He ka pau e ngā vai e poda, e hu e ngahi palopalema ki loto whanua mo alu me heni ki tua. Koe mahu inga issue koe whika mo ATSA ke hand off a lelei. Koe tui mahana toki address ia e he tau press conference a hoa ta e he minister. Malo ko tau sai te afe hui. Ko tu be maha ko sai to ki hoko at mo tolu ko hen ko tatawe na o reporti e website ko. Hoko atu agi mo ngai tala no mo ngai panel mo ngai kulupu mo fata no mo ko mahui nga pito mo tala no ko mo ma evidence. Ke lang ha ko tau fonua an ka pespe e tala no he evidence of ma o mia ngai mo ni me ale. Tala mo no to ko mo ngai fatongi ha honi. Tau ngata malo pito.